to also come up.
I said earlier on to my viewers that I consider you to be the face of library in Ghana. And you are. Your studies and your work, not your work only in this country, in Africa and on the international scene. Help me. Are we Ghanaians a reading nation?
That's an interesting question, and it's almost becoming a cliche. We don't read. If I say we don't read, I'm not talking about reading your text messages or reading the newspapers. I'm talking about serious reading for leisure and education. And I think it's not just in recent times that this is happening. It's an old thing. You see, nobody was born to read. It's your environment and the society where you fall in which encourages you. So if you are a child and your parents do not read, it's difficult for you to develop that habit. Right when I was young, 4 years I was reading because my father made sure that he had books at home for me to read, and at the same time he ensured that I went to register in any place that we go to that there is a library. So it all depends on your background. So that's the headache we have in Ghana. People do not read. But I still believe that all is not lost, because the Ghana Library Authority that I chair, the board, we've started putting in a lot of interesting ways to bring people back to the library. And that is bearing some fruit. So I believe that very soon that cliche will be a thing of past for Ghanaians.
Yeah, but there's an impression out there that public libraries are designed for children, and campuses also, libraries, are designed for students who need information to pass the exams. Is that a fair impression?
Let me just tackle that of public libraries. That may be correct to a certain extent in public libraries, because for some time we have used all our time to catch them young, because we found out that grown-ups were not reading. So we started introducing programs to catch the young ones. And I'm sure that is why many people thought that we had the children's section, we had the children reading clubs. But then at the same time, we had the adult libraries there. But I can say that maybe it's the emphasis we placed on that. Now, when you come to the academic libraries, it's really not correct, because the libraries are not solely designed for students. They are designed for faculty, that's the lecturers, researchers, and students, because every higher institution, your mandate is to carry out, to study, to teach, and to do research. So the libraries are for everybody.
Yeah, but if you are a member of the university community, this program is not only for Konwo Dumasi, but for K University, because we are also coming from K University. You came today from Kumasi, I also came from Kumasi. And if you come to campuses and you are not a member of the community in terms of access, how is it?
Oh, what really happens is that you have access. You can use the libraries, but you cannot borrow, because you are not part of that community. But the way in this country things have been decided that everybody can walk to every academic library and use it, because they stock a lot of materials which are also relevant for national development. So it's open to everybody, only you can borrow.
Yeah. Now you mentioned national development. Do libraries have unique roles in our national development? Can we trust? Can we identify? Can we convince ourselves that libraries can make this significant contribution towards the development of this country?
When we talk about development, what do we use for development? It's information, background information, statistics, data. All these are what the libraries store. So if you decide that you want to develop a nation and you do not want to use information to back that one up, I really wonder how that one will work. I believe that libraries, once they are brought into the national development plan process, the country will be better off. Because when you talk about information for background reading, when you talk about getting people to also access information for decision making, libraries can provide that. Now, you're also talking about national development. National development, the people in the country must also be well versed in what's happening either in their various vocations or generally. And in libraries, we provide access, even on online access. Computers are there. You can have electronic access to information, especially in recent times that most information are electronic in a format. So when you talk about, you cannot say that you're going to have effective development of the nation when you cut off the library.
There are people who are shaping public opinion. Musicians are shaping public opinion. Film producers are shaping public opinion. Media, religious people. Years ago, you listened to Kwame Ampedu and Kwesi Ampofo-Adjei and others. You could feel history, philosophy, ethics in their music, drama. Also for that, you could get sense of something. Today, music is, excuse me to say, more sex, but they are shaping public opinion. Even comedians in this country, comedy is full of witchcraft, deceit, and all that. So people who are shaping public opinion, like film producers, musicians, comedians, what is there in the libraries for such people, and many more, even religious people? Because at the end of the day, they are shaping public opinion and they have a role to play in national development, as you mentioned.
I'm so happy that you brought this issue up. For quite a long time, that's been really bugging my mind. That, what's happening to the Ghanaian society? Why are we moving away from what we know as the good values? Why do we do things that if you yourself, you sit back and you start thinking, said, am I doing the right thing? If you want to use your mind. But people are doing those things because they say that sells. This is the era that we are in. Sensationalism, pornography, all those funny things. But you see, what I'm saying is that the public library, especially if I'm talking about the Ghana Library Authority, our libraries have got materials that all these groups of people that you've mentioned, be they musicians, be they film directors, be they religious leaders, parents, they can all go there and read. There is nobody who has a store of knowledge. We all read to get knowledge, which now, after we use them, improves our lives. And this knowledge is found in the library. If you go to the public library now, there are materials which really talk about the history of Ghana that any musician can go and then pick and get lyrics as against the sort of lyrics we have now. I remember, just as I said, when those days you listen to Nana Mpedu's music, you sit down quietly and you listen and you learn a lot from that. The stories of Anansi, the hair, and there was a lot of moral at the end of it. But that is now, it's a different story. Even for film directors, you go there, you will be able to know the plot, read around that, and then come out and pick things for people to really present what you want people to learn from. Because the film is for entertainment and education. So when you produce these things, you must look out that. Not the funny things, this was Chewa 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the person is, that does not teach anybody anything. Then I think that even it's very, very important, even for the media to also go to the library and pick things which will help as background information to the stories they put out, where their stories will be unbiased, straight to the point, to make sure that whoever is reading knows that, yes, this is well presented. At the same time, even on how to report, I must say that in days gone by, several years ago, it was easy for anybody to pick the newspapers and read and pick some very good, words, vocabulary. But I'm sorry to say that these days it's not always there. Where you read through a first page, cover page, and the number of mistakes you see. That doesn't
I
help.
want you to look straight into this camera and talk to people who are shaping public opinion. You are saying that whatever they do in music, in film, and even comedian and whatever must be backed by research and knowledge. Talk to my viewers.
I think if you are a musician, please read around whatever you want to present in your lyrics, and make sure that the lyrics that you bring out will help educate and inform, and also improve the lives of people. And in the same vein, I'll also talk to film directors. I think we need information which will improve our lives and also help us to be educated and enlightened. Let us know and understand what is there, not what may not, will appeal to people buying, but at the end of the day, have you developed the person? I also want to talk to religious leaders. Whatever messages, information you want to put out there, please, it's important that you read around it and you put the message in a mode that will really unite rather than bring confusion in the country. Then I'll also like to talk about the media. Please, you go everywhere. Whatever you say, whether in print or electronic format, is listened to or read everywhere. Please read, go to the libraries, read and make sure that the information that you've received, you will go and package it and present it in a way which will make people really understand. Then I also talk about families, because family is the core. Many members of their families, they do not buy books for their children at home. They do not encourage them to go to the libraries because they themselves, they don't read. Please, we have values as a country. We have values as ethnic groups. Please, let us go back. Most of these are written in our historical books. Go back and pick these things and teach our children, because we are losing our values. We are seriously losing our values. And that does not show us as Ghanaians that we have to be. So I am asking that the public libraries, they have materials for every subject area, for every person. So please, let's go to the libraries and ensure that we read what will develop us and the nation.
This is what is next, and I'm in conversation with Dr. Helena Asamoah-Hassan on transforming minds through libraries. Ma'am, there is the need to vigorously pursue the correction and documentation of oral Africa or Ghanaian tradition to showcase our rich cultural heritage. Is this something on the agenda of the Ghana Library Authorities, that you are not giving us books in English, but I can find videos and other things in oral tradition? And even if I've never been to school, can go to library, watch movies, listening to something, the oral tradition, our cultural heritage. Is that also on your agenda?
Incidentally, it's one of the key things we are going to do this year. What we have decided to do, because we know that we are an oral culture, or what people can talk from now till the evening, we will not write. So it's important that whatever is being said, we are able to record. And we also realize that a lot of our elders are dying with very good information. And once they go, a whole library goes with them into the grave. So what we are trying to do, we are now starting to find out what exists, useful things that exist, and then we put them together and we start to digitize them in the form of videos and audios. What we are asking for is that we plead to the traditional authorities, because they hold a lot of this information, that when our technical experts get to them, they will cooperate with them. Because
you sound like you have funds for this project.
It's not. We really do not have funds, but the point is, it's very important for us to do it, because I keep saying, the library work is not every time that you look for money first. Start, let people see what you have done, and then use that to ask for money. But I believe that if we have a camera and then a video camera, and you can have little money for transportation, for somebody. You can get the information.
In fact, I think if even the district assemblies accept this effort and get on board together with traditional leaders, the various district assemblies.
Yes, that is very important. We have tried that in some other areas some time ago, and the blocks were the people, the local, when I say local, those who have that information. When you get there, give me money, pay me, I will not give. And these are the same people that the white men come and they give it to them, and they go and write books and bring it back to us here when we can do it. So that is why the appeal is going to the traditional authorities, and just as you said, the district assemblies, who will help us to get this information. And it's not something that we're going to stop. It's going to be a continuous thing, so that we store all that information for posterity.
E-learning is the contemporary approach in libraries usage now. What kind of internet facilities do we have in our public and our school libraries? My generation, you go through the catalog and on and on. Today, people sit with their tablets and they have a whole library sitting in front. What kind of e-learning and the internet facilities if I go to the libraries?
The Ghana Library Authority has really been doing a lot. Currently, we have ICT hubs, which we started. We got support from Vodafone to set up ICT hubs in Cape Coast, Kumasi, and Koforidua. And also through GIFEC, we were able to get some laptops which we placed in our mobile vans. We have one mobile van for each region. No, these laptops go in, then they go to visit basic schools. I think last year alone we visited about 550 basic schools with these laptops, so that the children who don't even have computers in school have a feel of it and know what it's
how
about.
How many schools?
550 basic schools
you
in
are
the
telling
country.
Your story. How many people know this? 5,000.
550 basic schools.
500.
Yes, and 50 basic schools we were able to visit.
How many people know this?
That is because these things are written and we do not read.
We don't read.
So that is the problem.
Don't tell me I'm one of them.
No, I'm not saying so. So with that, we have, and then we have about, all the regional libraries are connected to the internet. And we have 10 libraries. We are now thinking of working for the other new 6 regions. So currently there are about 20 libraries in the country with internet connectivity. And then when you come to the headquarters, that's Accra, we have definitely the connectivity. But there is something that, 2 things that we've done to support electronic access to information. One was the development of the Ghana app last year, where everybody, once you have a phone, you have internet connectivity, and you click and you go to the Ghana Library Authority app. You click and you have novels to read online.
Anybody,
just have a phone with internet connectivity, and then type the Ghana Library Authority app. You have access.
Please kindly write that on the screen for my viewers.
Yeah, the Ghana
Say
Library.
it again, that if somebody want to go into e-learning, electronic learning, now the direction you are giving, that all those with good mobile phone,
yes,
Ghanaian young people with mobile phone, now your mobile phone should not be used only for Facebook and WhatsApp and Twitter. You said we should use our phone for what?
Yes, that is, if your phone has got internet connectivity, you just go and type and look for the app, Ghana Library Authority. You get the app, you download it, and you start going through the processes for registering. From there, you can have access to a whole library of books you can read. It's there. Then the second thing too is that this year, because we've declared it the year of learning, and lest I forget, last year, 2019, the Library Authority declared it as the year of reading. And that is why we got this Ghana app and all that. This year is the year of learning. So we've also, in conjunction with the Commonwealth of Learning and Udemy, we've got some materials, that is reading materials, to help people scale them, to improve their skills. In fact, I think recently we advertised for people who want to be part of that program. And interestingly, I had some colleague librarians saying, is it true? They sent me a message. This is what we have seen. Is it true or is fake? So I just said, we have going to give scholarships for only 1,000 people who will study online. That is different trades online. Unfortunately, currently we had about 30,000 applicants. So I was talking to the executive director that how are you going to pick 1,000 out of 30? That will be your responsibility.
You are giving scholarship to how many people?
1,000 to have access to learn online, educate themselves online, and will be certificated in different subject areas.
Interesting.
Yes.
And you say you have how many applicants?
30,000.
Does it mean that now Ghanaian young people can do job search, admission, scholarship, entrepreneurship skills online? If I go to, say, public library, the libraries you are mentioning, can I do this search for that number to know that there's a scholarship hiding somewhere?
When you go to any of the libraries, we have staff who are there, and then you go there and you ask them, this is what I know. I want to find out available scholarships. You go online, they help you to search. If you want to find out some other jobs, ideas behind it, it's internet. And why I'm saying is that the young people are now catching up to that because we are using internet and electronics. We are not using paper. So now a lot of them, they go in there, they print, they do their CVs there. They have people who assist them to write their CVs.
How welcoming are your staff?
Oh, the staff, they've been trained, and I'm really excited. The way those I have interacted with at the headquarters and in Ashanti, they are so nice because we told them that customer first, and they have really reorientated their minds that now they are ready to serve. It's you just walking in there and wanting to find out information on different areas, and they will assist you to do that.
But sometimes some efforts are Accra-based. If you are in Accra, you can go and the internet is fast and all that. You move outside Accra, and it's like you are in a different world. If I'm not in Accra and I'm in Brahafo, in Zima, somewhere in the north, would the story be the same?
It will be the same because we use Vodafone. Vodafone is our internet service provider. So we expect that it will give the same, the speed will go around. That is our expectation. But then from the feedback we've received, even from North Tamale, people are using the service very well. So that helps us, encourages us that at least now that we've introduced it, we've introduced the electronic information, we've introduced reading by the internet. It's helping us to ensure that we get things done properly.
Because this scholarship you just mentioned, sometimes Accra people may know, Kumasi people may know. If you are in my village somewhere, the opportunities are there. This country, we have opportunities. But again, back to knowledge, back to information. Some have, others don't. How do we get such information to ordinary person who may not be lucky to be a city kid?
Yeah, what we are trying to do, which even includes asking government to send information about its priorities and its policies for national development, is to ensure that they use the libraries as depositories. And if they use the libraries as depositories, you would not need to come to Accra to look for something. Once you get to any library near you, it will be easy for you to access the information that you need. Then secondly, we are also talking to government to have electronic access to most of the information they have. And if we have the electronic access and we put it in our service, it's easy for us to also transmit to places where there are even no static libraries. So those are the things we do.
Let's hear more about your office as Executive Director, AFRIA. Help us, because it means a lot. Help us to understand and how we also as Ghanaians can tap to the African opportunities.
Thank you. What we're doing is that we are trying to get governments and institutions to know that we need to provide services to improve the lives of the communities. And by that, we talk with policymakers, we talk with governments to ensure that library policies are favorable, and also to include libraries in national development plans processes. Because we found out that all over the continent, I can't bring one because of where I sit. Libraries really are not brought in when development plans are being couched. And that causes a lot of problems. At the end of the day, you were not there when they were doing things. How do you come in? So at the end of the day, that aspect of information for national development doesn't come in. And then after 5 years, we revise. And we revise, and some things have not been done. So that is what we do. And at the same time, we also work with the regional bodies, ECOWAS, AU, to ensure that they push virtually governments to ensure that libraries resources are provided. So that is what we do in the whole continent, working with. So it's a kind of and then we are supported by our membership. It's a membership association. Members, that is libraries, institutions. But sometimes we get foreign grants, like we had from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Last year, the board you chair hosted African ministers in charge of libraries. Help us to know more about that conference and some of the outcomes that you consider must give us hope as a country.
This same organization that I sit as the executive director, in 2015, we called ministers responsible for libraries to a meeting in Cape Town. And then in last year, 2018, we called them again to Durban, hosted by the South African government. So it was decided that Ghana should host, and I made a joke out of it that looks like I'm here, the headquarters of AFLIA is in Ghana. I chair the board of the Ghana Library Authority. So where do you want me to be? So with the Ghana, the Ministry of Education tasked the Library Authority to organize the 2-day meeting for ministers responsible for libraries to come and talk about how they're going to get libraries into mainstream work to develop the community. It was a 2-day meeting held at the Labadi Beach Hotel, and we had an 8-point declaration. But then what I can say, the key ones which Ghana has to look at, one is to oral culture, oral heritage, oral history, that we need to collect and put them down for our use and also for posterity. The second one was also that libraries, countries without national libraries should make an effort to serve, because Ghana, we don't have a national library. The public library just, takes that responsibility on, but they can't do everything. A national library has got its specific activities, just like it's like a central bank to the banks. So national library is like that to libraries. Ghana, we don't have. So that was another thing which was mentioned. That
is it something you want to advocate for?
We've been advocating for that for a long time, and I remember when this current board of the Ghana Library Authority was sworn in, the Minister of Education charged us to ensure that we set up the National Library of Ghana. So we are holding him to his charge, and currently there are things that we are doing, to ensure that that function lifts up. But definitely we will need a designated national library for Ghana.
We don't know who is watching, but look straight into this camera and talk to this country and whoever is watching that we've reached a point where we need a national library.
Just like I said, then a national library carries out their activities just like a central bank does to banks in every country. And normally our basic definition of a national library is it collects materials by Ghanaians written outside. Then all materials written by Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians in Ghana, that is what it collects and ensures that we put. That is why we have the legal deposit. Currently, Ghana does not have a national library. the Ghana Library Authority has been doing something, collecting, but because they don't have the strength to push, many publishers, many authors do not submit their manuscripts or even their books. Ghana is long overdue. Ghana was one of the first, I mean, if you talk about most African countries, take out Liberia, most sub-Saharan African countries, Ghana was the first to get a library board. And Ghana, as we sit now, there are other countries with national libraries, and we do not have one. I'm appealing to those who are responsible that this is key. We need a National Library of Ghana. And there are many things that the National Library can do for the country. So it's an appeal I'm putting out there. Let us all look out. And those who matter, please help us to do that.
This is what is next. And I'm in conversation with Dr. Helena Asamoah-Hassan, a lady, when it comes to library, her own studies and her professional life. At the moment, she's the board chair, Ghana Library Authority. She is a former university librarian, Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong University of Science and Technology. She served as the president of Ghana Library Association. At the moment, she is the executive director of all African libraries. And we can go on and on and on. But today she's saying that this country, that may be one of the first country to set up libraries. We've reached a point where we don't have a national library. If somebody is watching us, can you help us start the process that 5 years from now, the story will be different? You have also been an advisory committee of UNESCO on this Memory of the World program. Help us to understand at that level, what is it, this World Memory Program?
Yes. The Memory of the World program, what it does is to document, that is documentary heritage, things that keeps a country's history. What we do is that when you have something which is of documents which are of rare value, which speaks about a country's being, what is useful to the country, we document it. And it is highly competitive. So UNESCO has got this Memory of the World program. It's an international advisory committee for the whole world. So every other year, we receive these submissions. Now, what happens, I know that Ghana, there was only one which was not even submitted by us about the slave trade. And we have not really presented a lot. And normally, the Memory of the World is linked to the UNESCO office in Ghana. That's the Ministry of Education. There's a UNESCO office which sits in the ministry to make sure that this is done. So it's a kind of documentary. It is documenting people's historical background. Let me give you an example. Before I left my position as chairperson of that Memory of the World program, there was a day Japan and South Korea, they were competing. During the World Wars, I think some women were used as sex slaves, and that was documented. So Japan wanted to, and China, they wanted to bring it up for publication. You see the embarrassment. And then South Korea wanted to suppress it. It's a highly political committee. Highly political.
You enjoy doing it.
Let me tell you what happened. I was here sitting, somebody was sitting somewhere in my house when I got a phone call from the ambassador of South Korea. I said, how did he get my number? That was when I got to know that, quote unquote, we are all naked as far as information about us is concerned. And they were trying to get me into understanding. It was a tough meeting. They really did a lot. But at the end of the day, I think it was, brought out. Something like that. It's in their history. But the other, Japan felt embarrassed. that why should this come out? So these are the kind of things they document, music and all those things. So it's something which really tells the world what a country, your history or your ancestry background is all about.
But such things are not in the public domain. I wake up in the morning and all the morning show are MPP, NDC, and I'm an university teacher, and some people are competing, contesting that their stories will get into the memory of the world. And we are not even aware that a Ghanaian, you have chaired a body like this, and you are telling me there was a year our story did not enter.
No. We have only one. When I left 2 years ago, we had only one entry. And I sat back, I said, there are a lot. But see, there are processes you have to go through. Let me tell one thing I'm getting worried about in our country is that there are a lot of important things we are putting behind and chasing momentary things.
Will you want to repeat what you have said?
So there are a lot of important things we've put behind and chasing momentary things and things which are sensational. I for some time, I rarely listen to radio because when you listen, there's sort of language which comes. Some of them are live, so I guess sometimes the radio stations cannot stop, but sometimes some programs, they try to tell you to retract. But some people are so rude that they refuse, say, I will not retract. And you sit back and you say, what is happening to us as a country? Is that how far we have come? That everything, there's a difference between constructive criticisms and insults. And I believe that people have taken the other aspects. You can make a point without making the speech inflammatory. It's possible. Now, what are we talking about? There are virtues that we can really put forward, but instead it's vices. Sometimes you just wonder and you say, what is happening? Are we reading? What are we reading? Because we are not reading, the human nature itself is bad. So we bring whatever is in us and we put out there. But when we read, that is what talks about the transforming minds. When you read, look for authentic information. People have gone ahead of us. It will move your mind towards positive and productive things. But we don't read. So our human nature comes in and then we follow and do all kinds of things. All kinds of unprintable words. All kinds of unprintable languages. And you see, there are a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge, who want to contribute in national discourse, but they are afraid because he says something the next time he's being insulted. And how many people want to be insulted? I would not want to be insulted, so I just stay at a corner. That's how I put it. So I think that it's time for us to go back. Let us read. Let us read. Even if we cannot read books, let us get some of these recordings. That is why I'm talking about our oral culture. What did our elderly people do? What did they say? There are some things they never said. They had different words for them, which will make, everybody feel good. But now, it's not like that. We even know what our elders taught us about the good words to use. We know them and we don't use them. What are we achieving? And we say it's development. What kind of development is that? To me, it's backward development. We are going back. We are not going forward. So I think that we really have to take reading seriously. Reading seriously. When I say reading, I'm talking about things which are useful, which are authentic. I'm not talking about this a lot other things. So as a country, we have to go back to the basics. Take reading seriously for productive things.
Viewers, this is what is next. And my guest, Dr. Helena Asamoah-Hassan, when it comes to the subject she is discussing, she's been on UNESCO's advisory committee on this memory program. She knows what she's talking about. Manage the whole world. And Africa, at the moment, she is the executive director of libraries. And she chairs Ghana Library Authority. That is the board that supposed to advise government, the president, Ministry of Education, and she has said it how many times, that we must be a reading nation. But we must not just read anything. We must read things that are productive. Ma'am, are you convinced that we can transform Ghanaian minds through library?
To me, everything is possible if one puts one's mind towards it. It's getting people's minds that I need to do something productive. I do not have what it takes, so I need to do it. And with that, what we're trying to do is to provide these avenues so that no one has got an excuse to say, I wanted to read and I didn't have an avenue. The avenues are there. Either you go to the library directly or you can hook onto the internet. So you don't have excuse. Like even for schools, school libraries now, secondary school libraries. Now, recently we were able to train all the librarians or the library personnel in all the secondary school libraries, because we are trying to now, from a center, have a central kind of a database for the libraries in the secondary schools, because we feel that these young people, they must get something really useful before they come out as adults. So we are doing that, and very soon they will see that there will be internet connectivity linked to a database where libraries like secondary school A can see what secondary school B has in forms of books. So if they don't have, they can. So there will be interlibrary loan. This is something which is coming up. So we've made a lot of avenues, and we believe that once people come to use, minds will be transformed.
My school days, secondary school days, Scripture Union, it was small society, have books, and there was a competition. Every week, you must finish a book and go and sign up for another one. There was a real competition. Now, I'm a pastor. Our churches, people go to church and we are happy. Recently, Most Reverend Professor Asante is saying we are over-spiritualizing things. Big churches, they have vehicles, they have flowers, air conditioning. They don't build libraries. Young people in our churches are happy, jumping, dancing, sweating. We are not directing them to what you are calling for. What should our churches do? In fact, our Muslims also communities. Those of us keeping young people in cathedrals, but we are not building libraries. Do churches also come to play in what you are talking about?
Every strata of the society, they can all build libraries. Because, for instance, currently, district assemblies, individuals are building libraries and turning them over to the Ghana Library Authority to run. Recently, I think last year alone, we have about 7 of them, and recently another one. They build and say, okay, this is what I have. Take over. So churches or religious groups, they can also do the same thing and say that, okay, this is what I have. Take it and run it. It's very important, because to me, if we have the structure there and with internet connectivity, I don't think it's going to be too expensive.
So that if they set up, you will come and help.
Yes, we'll come and help, definitely. That is.
And will Vodafone bring in the internet facility as you are doing the public library?
That is for us, the Library Authority, to ask Vodafone that this is another library which has come into our fold. Can you help us? It's possible. So it's a matter of having it there, because government can't do everything. And we believe that various groups, civil society organizations, they can all come in and help. It's one thing. Everybody looks like everybody is now looking at politics. But that is not. When people's minds are transformed, when it's getting to election time, there will not be any fear, because people know that you have to go and vote based on whatever conviction you had from the manifestos of the various political parties. So you will not be used to go and do any other thing. But here we are. We don't have that. So people listen to what people tell them, and they act based on that. Is that factual? Is that authentic? So I believe that the libraries, the civil service associations or organizations, they should also help so that together we can all build the nation as
And you
we want.
have the library clubs.
Yes, we have the reading clubs.
Yes.
The reading
what
clubs.
What do you hope to achieve with that?
Yes, reading clubs also helps us to get people to read, because when they meet to read, first they learn a lot of things. Second, it increases their vocabulary. Then it is also a way for them to learn about subject areas, because when the clubs meet and read, when they finish, they discuss.
Who set up the library clubs?
In schools, in libraries, anybody.
Community,
you can do that. And all what you have to do, I have a reading club, but we don't know how we will have to go. Can you come and introduce us, and then we get to do it? Definitely we will go and do that. So it's important that everybody can have a reading club. So the important once they put together, and these same reading clubs are the ones who will give us feedback. Oh, this is our community, we need this kind of books, can you provide for us?
Just 30 seconds, your last word to my viewers.
These are the top results.
The Ghana Library Authority has a mandate to provide information and also to educate the public. I believe that this information is necessary to develop ourselves and also to develop the nation. Now, in order to have good information and be able to develop the nation, which it means that our minds must be transformed. So I am appealing to the public that let us get our minds transformed by reading what is authentic, what is good, what will develop the nation. When we read, then we know that we are supporting the common good.
Viewers, how I wish we would have had time to continue. But the letter we have had from Dr. Helena Asamoah-Hassan, if even we want to work with this master seed, I believe it will surely do us good. This is what is next. Your very authentic education program, asking questions, confronting us, and seeking relevant answers from people like Dr. Helena Asamoah-Hassan. We will come your way same time next week. Watch what is next and continue the conversation as we seek relevant answers for what is next for this dear nation called Ghana. My name is Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, your regular host. God bless our homeland Ghana and make this country great and strong. May we